So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another week here at RGM on the podcast. It's me, Carl Maloney, just bringing you some nice new chat for a new week. How are you all doing? You all right? Nice one. We've been trying to set up this guest for a while, haven't we, Leigh? And I know you're a busy, very busy man, and I really appreciate your time. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Leigh Macfarlane from Soundburn Music Management. Hey up.
Hey up, you all right, lad? How you doing?
Yeah, really good, and I'm really pleased to have a chat with you.
Yeah.
Nice one. Well, we might as well start from this because I wanted to get you on for a specific reason, and that is to discuss the life of within music management, within the grassroots music, and I know you've got big projects going on with Andrew and stuff coming up, but I don't feel that music managers get enough credit these days. So I wanted somebody. I've seen somebody that's working hard and grafting and. We've had Andrew Cushing on that. You're managing Andrew. We've had him on the show, and he tells us all the hard work and the graft that you do behind the scenes. So I wanted to celebrate that, mate. Get you on the podcast and just find out a little bit more about you and your journey through this industry. How's that?
Thank you very much, mate. It's well overdue, I think, Carl.
Yeah.
My celebration. No, I'm just joking.
Okay,
I'm just joking. Listen, you know as well as I do, Carl. Like Andrew's a talent. You know, he's a real talent. Yeah. And I knew that from 4 years ago when I first found him. He had that voice and then lyrics and then and the whole structure to his songs, the storytelling. It was just something magical. And Carl, you're probably from the same era as I am, and we both loved like 90s music and guitar music and singer-songwriters. And I hadn't heard someone like Andrew. I mean, I'm blowing smoke right up his arse here, mate, since Noel Gallagher. Since Noel Gallagher and since, like people like Liam Frey and Kasabian as well. And I love that sort of music, Arctic Monkeys, and I hadn't seen anything since that sort of music. Listening to Andrew, I was so passionate. I wanted to get involved, and I wanted to get his music out there. So, as you know, the journey starts way back in 2019. Yeah. But fast forward 4 years, the job's become a real full-time job. When in fact it is my full-time job. It's been full-time now for 2.5 years since the Noel Gallagher record. And it's been a real. Someone once said to me the other week, he said to me, you never know you're working a day in your life or something. If it's
I know what you mean. It's not really work if you enjoy what you do.
Exactly. And that's what I feel. I do work really hard behind the scenes and it's getting harder with the size of the band, the size of the project. But however, I don't feel like it's getting hard. I'm passionate about it. Because Andrew write a song tomorrow and I go, oh wow, there's album 2 wrote already. When in fact it is wrote already. Yeah. So it's not really work, but yeah, you know what I mean.
So have you so like before finding Andrew out there in the scene, what were you looking to get into management, or did you talk us through what you were doing before that?
I lived in London. I lived in London for 15 years, and I worked for. It's a real romantic story. This I worked for British Airways, the world's favorite airline. Yep. And I worked at Heathrow Terminal 5 as a customer service manager. So I was remember them airline programs in the 90s where if there was problems at check-in, that I speak to a manager.
Oh, okay.
Used to get shouted at. Remember that?
Like, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'd imagine it was awful. So I was kind of doing that job. Well, I was doing that job, but I was doing it on a bigger scale, a grander scale, working for British Airways and at Heathrow Airport. And went down there in the early 2000s. One day, I'll fast forward this long story, mate. One day, Noel Gallagher and Oasis were going through in 2005. Noel Gallagher, being a massive fan, went up to Oasis, introduced myself. If you need anything, I'm here. If you need lounge access, etc. But they were fine. Give the tour manager at the time my business card. I said, look, any problems you have in BA, look, just call me direct. Never ever expecting to hear back from Oasis, right? I get a phone call done on the next morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. Can you help us? Noel Gallagher's guitar has gone missing. It was going to Belgrade. So I went into work, got Noel Gallagher's guitar, put it on the next flight, British Airways. He got the guitar. The gig went ahead, right? Oh. So after that, I went to see. I had a few complimentary tickets for Oasis. Went backstage, met Oasis, met all the tour manager, met all the crew, and just became as of 2005 became involved very, very slightly in that music scene as a fan, but I was understanding what was going on backstage, speaking to the crew, then getting in with Marcus Russell, who was a Oasis manager, getting in with Marcus, speaking to Marcus, getting some direction. And then I think the real turning point with me, I met with John Coyne, who was managing Kasabian, or who still manages Kasabian. Kasabian had just released Empire, the second album, and just mixing with these people like Marcus Russell from Oasis and John Coyne from Kasabian, it gave me a bit of give me a bit of inspiration. Yeah. And I was thinking, God, I would love to get involved in this and do exactly what these guys are doing, because this is a really cool job, but they're working and they're getting paid to go to gigs, but never knowing what they do behind the scene. Yeah. And so spoke to Marcus, spoke to John, and I managed a couple of bands in London, but they never did anything. They got like festivals, they got Wireless Festival, got Kasabian support, they got Noel Gallagher support. They never went on to get a record deal, though. It was more of a lifestyle choice for me. But all the time I was learning, and I was learning about how it works, this music industry, and just getting a lot of information on and getting a lot of inspiration. And then it was weird, I kind of left all that behind with me when I came back to Newcastle 2014. Came back to Newcastle, and then I found Andrew 4 years later, but I still had these contacts. I still had this knowledge. Yeah. But what I learned then was that basically if you're really passionate about a product, you're really passionate about an artist, as long as you have the right network and the right connections, you can kind of get him going. You can get him going on the right path. Then he has to do the rest. But as long as he's got that talent, which Andrew certainly does, you're a good match together. Does that make sense?
Oh, it really does. And like when you first saw Andrew, what kind of things did you instill on him? What were the first thing that you did to
I think, I think it was just purely to have that balls to go on stage, and he'd only wrote one song that was Waiting for the Rain, and in the rest of the songs it was covers. But that one song, Waiting for the Rain, stood out ahead of all them covers he was playing. And I think to me it was just literally to get on stage there. Part of this story that you haven't heard is 2014, I came back to Newcastle. Andrew started playing football for a team that my son played for, right? And me and Andrew used to have banter about, I was coaching the team at the time, but me and Andrew used to have banter about the bands I used to manage in London, and knowing Noel Gallagher, right? And it was always Andrew was I've known Andrew since he's 15, and the banter was always there about, one day you're going to manage me. And I was like, no, not really. I've left all that behind in London. I'm not that interested anymore.
Okay.
But then he said, okay, one day he said, I'm playing a gig. I'm supporting this Oasis tribute band called Oasis. Do you want to come and watch? And I was like, I'll come, but I wasn't expecting anything. Yeah. So to answer your question, sorry, the answer is, what they're saying, Andrew, it was just purely the guts to stand on stage. He couldn't play guitar very well, but he had them guts, and he had that vocals were unbelievable. And I was like, where the hell's this come from? And that natural voice was just outstanding. Yeah.
Well, when last time we spoke to Andrew, it's all in the archives if you're interested in catching up. It's Waiting for the Rain is the title of his new album that's coming out very soon as well, which, that I know that song from speaking to him, that means a lot, and it's kind of followed his musical journey, and it makes sense to box that off a little bit, but with the new album. So the speed and how quick things have developed for him, how much of that's down to you?
I think it's down to both of us. I think it's unfair for me to say it's all down to me. I really do. I think it's down to both of us. Both of us having the same drive and the same determination, and we'll never stop. Both of us haven't stopped. I mean, I tried to have a break last week, go to the Lake District for 3 days. That's the first time in 4 years, and I couldn't. I couldn't. Me WhatsApp didn't stop. Me emails didn't stop. So, but you know what? I didn't mind. I kind of didn't mind. My missus hated it, but I didn't mind because it's just we're both at the same speed. Yeah, and we both want it so much. But in a flip side of things, we also want the music out there. We want people to recognize how good this music is, and we want the album to do justice. So we're only going to get justice for that album if we put the hours in. We're both doing that. Yeah.
So is there any plans to take on anybody else and grow Songbird?
I always said to Andrew, right? Not so much out of respect, but I don't know, out of Like the connection, I always said, like, let's make an album first. Let's do your songs justice. Let's get hopefully a top 10 or a top 20 album. And then I'll review my situation then about taking another act on. Carl, I've had loads of offers, and I'm not being big-headed by that. I've had loads of offers, but at the moment, I'm just focused on Andrew and his career and my career. You know, I'm building both of our careers, and we know that we're on the right path now. We've got the right infrastructure around it. I think infrastructure is so important. It's a one tip I could give any sort of band managers out there: build a good team around your artist. Honestly, get the right people around your artist, and you're all moving together in the same direction.
How do you know they are the right people?
Well, I think you find out for yourself, don't you? Like in life and in business, you know who you can trust and who'll do the right job in the right places. You know, was it round pegs and square holes? Yeah. You know, and we've had plenty of them so far on the journey. But when you find the right person, you just stick with them. We've had the same agent since December 2019. You know, so he's on the journey as well. He booked Andrew the Clooney, which was only 300 cap. He's now booking Andrew City Hall, which is 2.5. Yeah. You know, and so getting the right agent, getting the right promoter. We've had a few promoters that have gone a bit tits up. So we're getting the right promoter, getting the right PR, and getting the right radio pluggers and stuff like that. So yeah.
You're making it sound really easy, mate, but you can only you've got to graft, and you've got to be a bit. Because I didn't the reason why I know Noel's been one of your contacts, and that's really Andrew's career and that kind of stuff. And to end up recording with a legend like fucking Noel Gallagher, that just must be fantastic. So is it just a case? Because when I speak to a lot of bands on this podcast, a few of them are quite cheeky with DMs, and they'll DM the artist that they like, and they end up getting a few. They do end.
I think Andrew does.
Yeah.
You get a few,
a few people doing it, and it's like, you know, you've got to be a little bit cheeky out there. You've got to go for it, haven't you?
I agree, but I think with me and Noel Gallagher, it was during lockdown, and I think lockdown affected a lot of bands. You know, I know a lot of bands that were really affected, but they had albums to go out, they had tours. But luckily, we didn't have an album, we didn't have a tour. God, if lockdown happened now, mate, we'd be fucked. Yeah. We'd be, you know, that hard work to put in. But at the time, lockdown was kind of at the start of Andrew's career. And what happened during lockdown is that Noel Gallagher had a lot of free time, and like other big acts had a lot of free time. And I just said, look, we're looking for a producer for Where's My Family Gone? I know you like it. Can you recommend anyone? And I remember the email. It was like, I'll do it. I was like, to me last, have you fucking seen this? Noel Gallagher has just said he'll produce. And she's like, what? And I emailed him again. He went, yeah, I'll do it. I'll bring your band along. Don't bother with your band. I'll bring my band. I was like, what? High Flying Birds? Yeah, bring High Flying Birds. Nice. So, okay. Can we get a date locked in? Yep, get a date locked in. Rack Studios, October, whatever. Got the record label, pay the fee. And then we're in there 5 days with Noel Gallagher and the High Flying Birds.
Wow, mate. Well done, mate. Well done. And I know it's been a bit of a catalyst, but he has, what other things is like, rather than, the Noel Gallagher thing, because you can hang around that point for a long time.
Yeah, well,
the talent of Andrew himself and the storylines and why he's the only guest who's been 3 times on our podcast, because he's such a good crack and a good laugh and a good lad. As well.
You hit the nail on the head, Carl, about that. Like about when we signed to the second record label, Strap Originals, we were kind of like conscious that Andrew wanted to take the path of Andrew Cushion rather than Noel Gallagher, because he was quickly during lockdown becoming the next Noel Gallagher. I know I just said that before about him being a songwriter, but he had to find his own path and his own sound, which I think he has done with this album. So that we were really conscious of that. Me and Andrew, and I think that's why he picked up that electric guitar and bought You Don't Belong and Catch Me If You Can and Yeah, to get away from that almost acoustic Noel. But then, but now the new album sounds very much a mixture of Noel Gallagher and Andrew Cushion, and dare I say, a little bit of pop as well.
Yeah. Nice. Well, and he did, which I found interesting, and I agree with the decision. They are leaving that song off the album as well.
Well, no. Well, I'll give you an.
Is it?
We are, but it's owned by EMI.
Oh, okay. Right.
So for us to get that on the album, we would have had to buy it off EMI. And as you can imagine, EMI being a major label, said, yeah, you can have it for 6 figures.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So unfortunately, if we ever want to get it on the album, would have to sign a record deal with EMI, which
okay.
I
find the little things like that. I didn't know. I just thought it's his song. He can put it on the album if he wants. I didn't know.
It's a bit shit, isn't it? It's a bit shit. Yeah. Basically, they invested so much money in that song. Yeah. You know, we'll have Noel Gallagher and Rack Studios in the video. They probably put about 60, 70 grand into that song. So they want to recoup money on that song. So they probably haven't recouped it in royalties. So they'll say, okay, there's probably 50 grand left on that song. You want to buy it, you can buy it for 50 grand. Oh. Which in time we might do. Yeah.
How do you, what other kind of little, because I find little things like that go on in the industry just fascinating. What kind of other little pitfalls and things have you picked up on and learned to steer people around and that kind of stuff?
I think it's promoters, right. You know, promoters, and I don't want to badmouth anyone at all because it's a bit shan, but I just think you have to be careful of promoters because, okay, say you sell out a gig, right? Say you sell out a gig, 2,000 people, right? Say your income from that gig was 10,000, right? 10,000, and then Andrew, you get a settlement, but then Andrew's settlement at the bottom of that 10,000 will be like 2,000 quid, and we're like, hang on a second. We just sold out, but we only got 2,000 quid, but we made 10, but we get 2. So where's that 8,000 gone? Some promoters will add little things onto it, like towels, £40 each, like bar staff, extra bar staff, 300 quid, like security. And the artists will end up paying for all these little things to take away from the profit. So I think massive learning curve for me was checking the settlements. It sounds very boring, right? But you have a tour manager, you employ a tour manager, and the tour manager will check the settlements to make sure that at the end of the night that we haven't paid for something that they should be paying for. Yeah. Wow. Which in the early days, I mean, there'd be a lot of bands that you spoke to that won't even have a clue about that sort of thing. They'll just say, okay, we'll get our fixed fee, 500 quid. Wow, brilliant. But however, they could have made a lot more than that if they had a good lawyer, a good agent, and a good tour manager, and and a bit of experience behind them.
Yeah, I suppose anybody going into the industry is going to have those kind of like knowledge gaps, aren't they? Because who would have thought it'd be 40 quid a towel?
I know exactly, mate. Exactly. But that's it. I mean, me and Andrew talk about this a lot. He's learning a lot as a musician, but I'm equally.
Have you nicked a load of towels because of it? I fucking would have.
Well, no, we do. We take our own towels now, mate.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
Our driver washes them, so he'll go in the venue, wash them, and we'll use them. Yeah. Just little things like that, But yeah, it's crazy. Andrew's learned a lot from being a musician, mate. I'm learning a lot being a manager. And I'm growing into the role as well as he's growing into the role on stage. So,
yeah, Andrew did mention that when we had a chat because he said, you've really grown into the role, the same as him. So it must be nice to have your mate learning, you're learning, and you're both just having so much fun doing something you're passionate about. That must be a nice dynamic between you both.
Yeah, it's the best job in the world. Yeah. Who doesn't like who? When I was growing up as a kid, I loved music, I loved football, and I loved fashion. Probably like yourself, And like in that time in the 90s. Like even before the 90s and the 80s, when I was kicking around the streets of Newcastle, like I loved music. I loved first memory, I loved Wham. I think I loved Wham and Madness, and I loved all them tunes. Like, and I loved Newcastle United, and I loved me clothes, and that's still gone through as I've got older. Yeah, apart from Wham.
It must be nice to see Newcastle doing so well now as well.
It's class,
the whole city must be buzzing up there, just with the football and how it looks. I've just watched the documentary thing from last season and thing on, is it Amazon? Just watched
Amazon Prime, yeah.
Amazon Prime, yeah. So it must be really good to, it must be a really nice place to be at the minute in the Northeast.
Well, we've been seeing this for a while now since the takeover. There's a wave in Newcastle. Yeah. And Sam Fender, we all know what Sam Fender's doing. That Leeds Redden set was absolutely incredible the other night. So Sam Fender's doing his thing, Newcastle United doing his thing. When the city's doing well and the football team's doing well, people are spending money. And when we don't want to get on that wave just because people are spending money, but no, it's a great opportunity up here at the moment. Like Manchester in the 90s, like Liverpool as well in the 80s. In Newcastle, and hopefully in the 2020s, it'll just be the team and the place to be for music. And football,
you just see, I just like to see, particularly because you've had it hard for a bit, haven't you? With the old ownership of the football club and that type of stuff. I'm a Sheffield United fan, so I know about hard times and good times.
You do, mate. You still have them hard times. Well, you're in the Premiership now,
but this season's going to be a tough one. But hey, we're up there for a bit and having a play with big boys. It's all good. So just you find him 4 years in. What like so? Did you sign him straight away, or did you just go to a few more gigs after catching him that first time? Then
I signed him within 2 weeks of seeing him, because I had to sign him because basically, right? Do you know the story? So I seen Andrew play. Yeah. When I watch Andrew play in this social club in Newcastle with this Oasis band, right? I videoed it on my mobile phone, and Andrew was going, "How are you, mate? Send it to Noel Gallagher." I was like, "No, I'm not going to send it to Noel Gallagher. Of course, I'm not going to send it, right?" He's like, "How are you, mate? Just send it. Send it. What can you lose?" I was thinking, "Yeah, he's probably right. What can I lose?" So I had a couple of red wines, and I sent "Waiting for the Rain" to Noel Gallagher that night. And lo and behold, the next day, I get a reply, don't I, on my email. Mm. And the reply was, "This kid's all right. What's the catch? Is he a bell end?" Right? And I was like, "Fucking hell, I got a reply." And I couldn't believe it. And he said he got any more tunes. Yeah. So I sent him, "It's going to get better. Waiting for the Rain," and another song that he had way back then called "The Float" that you wouldn't have heard. So I sent him 3 songs, and then Noel said to us, he receives thousands of demos, and this kid was the only one in 1,000 demos that he thought that was great. So anyway, he sent the music to Virgin Records. Ted Cockle, Google Ted Cockle. Ted Cockle signed Jake Bugg, Lewis Capaldi, Taylor Swift, right? And Ted Cockle phoned me within 48 hours of me sending that video to Noel Gallagher. The president of Virgin Records phoned me. So I'm like, shit. So he phoned me and said, "I want to see Andrew down Virgin Records on Friday." So that was literally 10 days since Andrew played in the social club. We're going down the biggest record company in the world, right? So I didn't tell Andrew this. Yeah. And I went into his house and I said, "Look, we need to sign this contract. Let's me and you manage." He knew I sent him stuff to Noel Gallagher. He knew that Noel Gallagher replied to us. And I said, "Okay, let's sign a contract. Let's get a contract nailed, and then we'll go forward from there." Got him to sign the contract, and I said, "Right, you're going to Virgin Records on Friday."
Nice.
So we went down, and he got a record deal like that with a major label, the biggest record label in the UK. He got a record deal. Yeah.
So I know things can change in the music industry, and I believe he's moved on from Virgin on a different.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
So what kind of things happen there for the relationship?
Again, massive learning curve.
Right.
So when your champion signs you, we had a champion there like Ted Cockle. Honestly, what a great man! He really believed in Andrew. He had a blueprint of 4 albums for Andrew, and he had all this in place. Right? He had it was so good. Like he had Andrew being the next Jake Bugg. Because Jake had just left Virgin, so Andrew was next Jake Bugg, and had this plan. It was so exciting, mate, to see it on paper. And then, of course, 9 months later, COVID happens, right? Which is fine. Ted phoned us up and said, "Look, we're going to give you X amount of money during COVID. Sit tight, write a load of songs, do a lot of online stuff, and then come back and see us in a year's time. It'll be fine. You only need to start your career. Just write a load of music." So we're like, "Fine, great." And then halfway through COVID, Ted Cockle gets sacked by Virgin Records, right? And they bring in a new team, guys called the Palmer Brothers. And the Palmer Brothers were after TikTok and streaming artists rather than live artists. So they signed a load of TikTok artists, right? They've now gone, by the way. So they've now been sacked. So when you lose someone that's championed you so much and they bring a new regime, right? I got a phone call, right? After all them two years of putting in such hard work and being so excited, I got a 90-second phone call saying, "Thanks, but no thanks." And I was like, "Oh, shit. When I told that, Andrew was very honest about it. And I said, "Look, mate, let's just keep on writing the songs. And when live happens, people are going to see you live with all these new songs." And then lo and behold, the first live gig, Pete Doherty at Riverside. Yeah. And we get signed. We get signed straight away. The first gig back. Yeah. So it was like, it was again, like we're talking about learning curves and about the music industry. That was a real kick in the balls for me and Andrew. But we're still in touch with Ted. Ted's moved on now, and who knows what will happen in the future,
But it's better that it happened then than now, isn't it? Because I know a few bands where they've had an album ready to go out, just about to tour America. Some of my friends were out there, and they're not there anymore.
Exactly.
Hits them in the box, and some of them can't recover from it. It's such a minefield out there when timing's such a. It's just something you can't control, isn't it? You know, just
it's a life, isn't it? In business, in business, you can't control it. You're right. And then we signed a Pete's label, and you know what? They've been great. We've had them now 2 and a bit years. They've done an EP, 2 singles, and an album, and they've given them that creative freedom. You know, they haven't told them what to do. We've brought in our own producer, Dave Erringer. Unbelievable, mate. Unbelievable. And Andrew's been given that artistic freedom. And maybe in hindsight, we might not have got that with Virgin Records. I might have told Andrew, you've got to go down this path. But actually, Andrew's created his own musical path.
Yeah. No, one thing I've always enjoyed is, for me personally, I've always enjoyed his little Twitter rants. He has slowed down doing them a little bit. Is that something you've got to manage? You know, enthusiastic people, young kids that might have had a few beers on the internet as well. Is that something you have to manage? I
think you're right, because there's something on. I think he's calmed it down now, purely because of Louis Tomlinson's fans now are on Twitter, right? And they will pick up on anything. And on anything he says now, they will. I mean, it's not all bad, by the way, because they're amazing fans. But however, he's got to be very careful what he says on Twitter now. He can't rant and rave, about stuff.
A bit of a shame that.
Yeah, I agree. It is. But just the way of the world sometimes, isn't it? Who wants to be cancelled? You know, you want to be cancelled on Twitter.
Well, we did. I did because I followed him in America. They were a little bit.
Nearly there, weren't you?
I fucking was nearly there, and I'm still got about this today. I got right. For anybody who don't know, I've been to New York recently, and Andrew were playing the Mercury Lounge the day I were getting there. So I thought, right, I'm having some of this.
I know.
But so thank you for trying to sort my tickets out, though. But
you were there
over 2 hours in fucking in quarantine. What's it called?
Immigration.
Oh, mate, I'll send you a photo of the queue. I was so frustrated. It was ridiculous. And then I had to get to my hotel, and my hotel weren't booked. So we had to fly in the hotel for a bit. And I was like, oh, fuck. How was it, mate?
Oh, what do you think it was like? Have you seen the review?
I know. Fuck it. I hadn't, because I'm gutted I weren't there, so I hadn't looked.
the review, right? The review. There's a review online at the moment, and I can't remember who it's by, but basically they've said they've never seen scenes like it. No. They've only ever seen 2 gigs like it there before, and that was 2004, the Arctic Monkeys at Mercury Lounge, and Andrew Cushion. They said it was just electric. There was fans queuing outside. There was a Newcastle United supporters club from New York there, but there's also all these Louis fans there. So you had black, white flags one side, you had pride flags the other, and you just had the atmosphere was red hot. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. Honestly, it was amazing.
I was hoping you were going to tell me it was a bit disappointing because I've missed it.
It was a real proud moment in our career, I think. Going back to what you're saying about Twitter, that night, Andrew went on the subway into Times Square. And we bumped into a load of Louis fans, right? And they were great, right? They were fantastic. But when he was talking, they were videoing him, right? On their mobiles. I could see they were videoing him. And lo and behold, the conversation he's had with these people on the subway, they've documented it, put it as a blog, as an interview with Andrew Cushion.
Oh, right.
On the subway, but he didn't know he's been interviewed.
They were just talking to some.
Just talking, and they've described him as an excitable retriever. I thought.
What's a retriever? What's that mean? A retriever?
Like a golden retriever.
Oh, like a dog.
Yeah, like an excitable dog on the subway.
Fair enough.
I think you've nailed it. So, awesome. Yeah. So we've come a long way from like the social club and biker to now New York. People recognise them on the subway, but that brings its own terrors and dangers as well, doesn't it? Because you've got to be careful what you're saying now.
Well, because I know he had a bit of a hoo-ha just after the Red Rocks one, didn't he? When they had a bit of storm and that kind of stuff.
He's great.
And I read it because I was interested in it because I've been following his journey in America.
Yeah.
Great, and I don't think anybody could have. I don't know if he sought any advice from it, but I think he nailed his reply. He did everything that he should do, and life moved on.
Exactly, mate. We just said, just be honest, be honest. And I think sometimes he is too honest for his own good.
Yeah.
And when he does talk about stuff. So, just be honest, hold your hands up. There was clearly no intent meant by that,
No,
but it can be taken the wrong way. So, tongue in cheek, it probably he probably said that thing on stage a million times, you know. But maybe you got to be careful what you say online now.
Oh, mate, it's such a shame if you've got to kind of like rein yourself in a little bit, just in case somebody takes it the wrong way. I kind of fight against that kind of stuff personally, but you don't suppose you can.
You can't, mate. It's the way of the world now.
Yeah.
It's no one's fault, and it's just the way of the world, especially on Twitter, because it's an absolute dreadful platform, isn't it? Really, it's awful, isn't it? Really.
It's my favorite one. It's most lively.
It is. There's
always there's always stuff going on, which I like about Twitter. I do like.
But saying that, I went to see Noel Gallagher at Hardwick. Obviously, Andrew was on the lineup, right? And Noel Gallagher came on stage and was effing this, effing that. You Geordie wankers, you load of shit. And I was thinking, how can he get away with saying that?
I saw him at Tramlines and he was slagging Yorkshire off as soon as he comes on stage. I think it's just something you can get. You can get away with it, can't you? But yeah, I think you've just got to be mindful of fans. Maybe if it's like Louis fans, it's a bit different to Noel Gallagher's fans, isn't it? You've got to know your crowd, I suppose. And
that's it. No, you read the room. But that's what he said. I think even they say that. You know, they call it the fandom. They even say that at times that fandom can be too over the top. But we're learning, mate. We're learning. And
I know.
Yeah. We're learning, and what a great fan base to be involved with, though, mate. I mean, Jesus, that is one fanatical, hardcore group of fans he's got there, mate. Amazing, amazing.
Well, it's only going to grow because he's on tour with him again, isn't it? And I know you're You're
this minute as we speak. They'll be going on stage.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. Right. What, in Hamburg as well? And has they had a bit of trouble getting to Hamburg as well? You were telling us earlier.
Yeah, basically last night they were due to fly. They were due to fly yesterday afternoon at 2:00, and it got cancelled due to the ATC ongoing problems. So his lovely mum, has ran him down to Stansted Airport. Him, Michael, and Rich, the Newcastle lot. She's driven them down to Stansted Airport. So they've just flown from Stansted at 5:00 this morning to get to Hamburg for 8:00. So they're all there.
You would just have to book them new tickets then.
New tickets.
Did the flight people sort it so we can get?
No. Mate, you tried working with Ryanair. You tried.
No, mate. No, I don't.
Nightmare.
Yeah,
Yeah, so they were cancelled. So got new tickets. He's Latham. They're on at they're on at 7:30 German time. Then Latham's on at 8:30, and then Louis on at 9.
Wow.
But what a great gig to be. All of them, like 17 gigs with Louis and the Lathams. You know, across Europe, from Hamburg down there, across to Athens. Fantastic, mate.
Just before we got onto the European journey, I can remember seeing Oasis in Hollywood Bowl, and I know.
Did you go to that? Did you really?
I went to that one, yeah. And
oh my God,
Fabian and Jet supported them.
I remember. I went that same tour.
Oh, did you? Oh, nice.
Yeah, I went to Vancouver.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
they were the days. And the day after that gig, I went to Vegas to see him in Mandalay Bay, in like a small theater under Mandalay Bay Hotel and all. Yeah.
So you must have done that, and then they played Seattle and Vancouver. I went to Seattle and Vancouver,
I can't remember.
and I went across to Montreal as well.
Nice.
Yeah, I was with Gordon Smart and Mikey Johns actually.
Oh right, yeah, I saw Mikey at weekend over at Bidlington for festival thing, this Unveiling festival. That was we're fantastic, absolutely brilliant venue, loads of people just living their best lives in 2 days at the seaside, and the weather were nice. So it was a really well run event. It was just class, very good. Yeah,
and some of them bands are coming through this feeling at the moment. They're brilliant, aren't they? Yeah. I love that band, the Lilacs and the Rosa Docs.
Yeah,
the Rosa Docs. Oh, brilliant voice on them like that.
I put the Rosa Docs on the first ever gig they did because they're from Sheffield. Did you really? They had at Washington many years ago.
Got a great voice in them. You've got a really good voice.
Yeah, Lilacs. I did watch the Lilacs this weekend. Clinton. Yeah, they're really cool. Who else? Red Rum Club, obviously. Lathams were on. Lottery Winners. All these fun people that are out there just fucking smashing the music industry. It's just a good time at the minute for new bands, I think.
Well, you're doing your bit as well, mate. So
we've got to. So just like these historic venues, just being backstage and watching Andrew play from the Hollywood Bowl. What kind of like talk us through some stories of playing these iconic venues in America? Then we'll move on to.
I mean that's it. I mean, I joined Andrew's tour in America in San Francisco, in Berkeley, and they were playing the Greek Theatre.
Wow.
You know, I mean, you go and look at the Greek Theatre. It's a huge like Greek amphitheatre in the middle of San Francisco. You know, and to see the crowds out there in the atmosphere, and you look on the walls who's played there, Arctic Monkeys and the Beatles. You know, and you got Forest Hills as well. The last gig in New York was Forest Hills. The Beatles played 2 nights in Forest Hills. you know, and it's a US Open tennis court. So
Mm.
it's like the old Flushing Meadow. So you're playing in the middle of a tennis court, mate. And it's unbelievable. But Greek Theatre, Red Rock, and then where else to see, like Hollywood Bowl, of course. Hollywood Bowl. I mean, for Andrew, we're playing Hollywood Bowl 4 years into his career.
It's madness, isn't it?
It's ridiculous, isn't it, really?
So how does he, is he got the full band in Europe now then?
Got the full band in Europe. Like, I'll be totally honest with you, Carl, we couldn't afford a full band in Europe. We were touring with the Snuts and Louis Tomlinson. The Snuts, great lads, really great lads, but they only did 15 gigs as a full band rather than the whole 45 because it's just too expensive. For a full band to go out to America. You're talking flights, you're talking visas. Now here's one for you: 2 American visas, £10,500 for Andrew and Rich.
Wow.
So you've got that on top of your flights, on top of your car hire, on top of your petrol, and your fees aren't great.
Yeah.
So but it doesn't matter. It's like budgeting as a whole. Yeah. That's basically what I spend a lot of my time doing now, budgeting and looking financing these projects. Which in the early days, I didn't even look at that, mate. Didn't even look at that.
Well, when I've spoke to Twisted Wheel, Johnny.
Oh yeah, Johnny Brown.
And he talked about when he supported Liam Gallagher on his arena tour.
Yeah.
And they came back from it and they'd made a loss, but you've built up this fan base playing to
exactly. Andrew's socials doubled. Yeah. His Instagram doubled. His everything doubled in size. YouTube, his streaming went up, his monthly listeners went up. So it was all about fan money. It wasn't about the actual physical money. You know, we had a bit of money in the pot anyway to lose. But full band in Europe, and with that full band, have you seen the full band yet, Carl?
I'm not sure. The only time I've seen Andrew live were at in Manchester. I mean, a couple of years ago.
Just a full band. That was a different.
Oh, was it? That was yes. All right. Okay. I get mixed up. I go to that many bloody gigs, mate.
Yeah. That was a good gig, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was supported.
Megan Wynn.
Yeah. Old Megs. Yeah. She's class.
That was great.
And Roller played with him. I saw in Bridlington as well. The Roller were on that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's a fucking tiny little community, isn't it? And all these people are just great coming through.
Well, listen, mate. Make sure you come to the UK tour in Manchester, Band on the Wall, because I'll sort you out and come along and You know, that's almost done now. We've almost got sold out 500 in Manchester, which is it's a great feat to sell 500 in Manchester. Really sold out 400 in Nottingham. You know, so it's trickling down the country.
Yeah,
so that's one thing I would give advice to anyone. That's what Ted Cockle said to Andrew. He said, build your fan base in your local town and build it and build it and build it, and then it'll trickle down. Yeah. And that's exactly what we're doing. You know, it's exactly what we're doing.
Well, all this exposure. The new album's out in a month's time as well.
Yeah.
So you're going for top 10, you say? Minimum.
Oh, Christ. I don't know, right? I would love a top 10. I would love a top 20. I would just love it. I'd love the album to chart, to be honest with you. Of course, Andrew being Andrew, his expectations go higher and higher and higher.
So you want top 5? 1?
He wants top 10.
Right, fair enough.
He wants top 10. Let's just keep it top 10. Okay. He wants top 10. I just want it to be recognised. I do, mate. I want it to be recognised, and I want people to enjoy the music. I think that's my answer to it. Like, I want people, because you'll hear the song. I might even send you it, Carl, actually. I might send you it, and you can have a listen to it, because you'll hear the songs on it, and it's fucking some outstanding tracks on there. There really is. It's a brilliant debut album. It really is.
What I'll do, I'll put a pre-save in the description of this podcast anyway. So if you're intrigued by the album, pre-save it. You know, it's on vinyl. It's on all the posh things in it. It's on it. It's got a big vinyl thing. Has it got all different?
Exactly.
Has it got different colours and stuff and all?
Cassettes, vinyl, cassettes. Can it be that? CDs?
Nobody listens to them either. But people still buy the cassettes, but nobody listens to them. It's a good thing, that.
I know. They look quite cool, actually. To be fair. The cassettes, CDs, vinyl. We've got free ponchos as well. We've got signed posters. We've got we're giving away tickets as well in the next few weeks as well. So just trying to drive sales for this album. But I think when it comes out, that week of its release, when people start listening to it, mate, it's going to gather some momentum. It really is, because it's outstanding. And I'm not just saying that. I'm saying that as a fan. Like, Dave Erringer has just worked his magic on that. He really has. Like Dave Erringer, I don't know if you didn't know Dave Erringer's work, but he did all the Manic stuff in the 90s and 2000s. Yeah, he did, like, If You Tolerate This. He did The Who. So great producer, mate. Brilliant. And we recorded it at Rockfield Studios as well.
So what can't you tell us about what's coming up then? Because I know you're not going to be able to tell me. I want to ask you what's coming up, but I know you're not going to be able to tell me, so it's a stupid question. But is there anything that you can tell us about what's coming up? And it's fair enough if you say no.
What's coming up? What's coming up? What's coming up? Well, the UK tour, as you know, UK tour is coming up. December. I can't. You know what I really want to tell you, Carl? Yeah. I really want to tell you what's coming up, but I can't.
I know, that's fair enough. I know it was a stupid question anyway. But...
So I'm going to say January and February, Andrew's got a support tour, and the places he's going to be going to, mate, is going to blow your mind. I mean, we're not talking America and we're not talking Europe. Yeah. We're talking further afield. But I'm just going to leave it at that.
Oh no! Yeah. So he's got this European tour, then he's got his own tour, then he's got a new tour coming up after that.
Yeah,
he's grafting, isn't he?
Well, you have to, mate, don't you? There's a lot of competition out there, and you have to take these chances when they come at you. He's been grafting now on tour since February. Since we made the album, he's been touring constantly.
Has it been difficult at times?
He's going to watch this. I know he's going to watch this. He's going to watch this, but I think he's all right with me. He's actually all right with me. He's probably the same Andrew. He's a bit more of a diva now, but not too bad. Like, but I see him with the band sometimes, and I think, oh, you fucking diva. You know, like now, like stuff like carrying my guitar and stuff like that. Not to me, but you'll see like the lads carrying my guitar off, go and pick my pedals up and stuff like that. And I'm like, But I suppose, but now we're having to protect him a little bit because.
Yeah.
In the past, you go out to the crowd, and you go and get autographs, and you go and get photographs, and you go and get pictures. Now we're not a level. He could, but we don't want it. We don't want it anymore, Carl. We want to keep that a bit more exclusiveness. Keep him behind the stage, until he goes on stage, and then after stage, come off.
And have you changed any at all through it all?
I don't think I have, but my lass would probably still have. I tell you what, I am loving. I'm loving the freebies weekend where the brand's available.
Oh, nice. There you go. Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah, all the freebies. No,
we got like a clothing deal with Weekend Defender. Got a record deal. So we've got like a guitar deal with Gibson. So we get plenty of Gibson guitars.
Won't have to spend any money soon. Brilliant.
Well, that's it. But no, I don't think I've changed. But I think it comes naturally to Andrew, and I think he's a very confident person anyway, and always has been. But I think there's a few signs of being a diva in there.
Oh, there we go.
Like his Ryder, for instance, his Ryder.
Oh, here we go.
Ryder, have a bottle of whiskey, some ginger, 4 cans of lager, like little things like 20 cigarettes. You know what I mean? A vape. 4 batteries for his in-ears. Fucking hell. No.
I like it. Well, it's when you're on the road all that time, you kind of got to make things easy for yourself, haven't you? I suppose.
Definitely. Definitely. I mean, that's my job.
You're pissing about getting batteries.
Well, we've got a tour manager now, and we pay the tour manager X amount of money to look after Andrew and the band, and that's been a real god save to me, like, because in them early days I drove a lot. And did a lot of the touring, like we did a tour with Bang Bang Romeo in 2019 when Andrew just got signed, and we just took and fair play to this feeling that they given the support slot, and we had something like 18 gigs of Bang Bang Romeo, and I drove to every single one of them, from Glasgow down to Portsmouth, and it was like 3 weeks on the road, and it was fucking exhausting. I don't know how tour managers do it, mate. I don't know how they do it.
I don't know how they do it. I don't know.
No, I don't. So we got a tour manager now. We pay him X amount of money. He looks after the band, and he does a great job. To be fair, does a really good job.
Well, mate, Leigh, thanks for joining us today and just telling us a few stories.
No worries.
I hope people listen to this and just think, yeah, it's hard work, that band manager stuff. It's not all hobnobbing with Noel Gallagher, is it? There's a lot of graft behind the scenes.
Well, definitely that's the good part in it. Hobnobbing with Noel Gallagher. Yeah. He's still he's still my hero. And
mine too.
He is, and I still love his music at Hardwick when I watched it the other week. It was absolutely outstanding. I mean, I think he's getting better and better and better with age. And anyone that goes on about Oasis, fuck that. High flying birds for me. I mean, are better.
Well, it's just come to me before I let you get off today. Do you think they'll get back together, Oasis?
Do you know what? I think they will. I think 2025. I think it'll happen. I think it'll happen purely because there's no Sarah McDonald. Yeah, there's no Sarah McDonald anymore. Yeah, but if they do get back together, mate, it's got to be Noel's band, isn't it? It's got to be the High Flying Birds band.
Well, it's Gam, the drummer. He were in Oasis before, weren't he? What's the drummer's name
he is in the Lars, wasn't he?
Yeah, class. It's not. Oh, mate. Well, Leigh, thanks for joining us, mate.
And thank you very much, mate.
Thanks for finding Andrew and sharing him with the rest of the world. It's very much appreciated from me and the RGM people. I know people are going to love this interview because they really like the Andrew one, and you're good crack, mate. I really appreciate it. Sorry I couldn't get there in time for New York. I know you sorted me tickets and things. I'm very annoyed still about all that particular stuff, but
you can come to Europe, mate, if you want. You can come to Europe if you fancy it.
I do fancy it, mate. I do fancy it. You'll regret saying that, but nice one.
Right, nice one, mate. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anything else you want to share with anybody, or you done for today?
Do you know what? I just want people I know it's like a broken record, but I want people to buy the album, and it's not just purely because of financial side of things. I just want people to hear this album and how good it is, mate. Because I can't tell you, I'm not going to compare it. Definitely, maybe I'm not going to compare it to the Arctic Monkeys, but I'm going to say it is fucking brilliant, mate. It is fucking brilliant.
So there's going to be just a reminder, pre-save in the description of this podcast on YouTube or Spotify, Apple Music on there. There'll be a link for the tour. Grab yourself, go and see him wherever you are in the world. Leigh, mate, thanks again for your time.
All the best, Carl. Thank you very much. Pal.